Hi, my presentation is on visual support, an evidence-based practice for learners with ASD. What are visual supports? A visual support is defined as a visual support or tools that provide information through visual means, such as a picture, symbols, written words, or schedules, to help learners with ASD understand expectations, routines, and concepts. How it works? Visual supports help make abstract ideas more concrete and reduce the reliance on verbal instruction, which can be overwhelming for some learners with ASD. Why is it effective for ASD learners? Learners with ASD often respond better to visual inputs than the verbal communication. Visuals provide clear clues and structures, helping learners stay organized and reduce anxiety. How does visual supports help learners with ASD? Targeted skills is one way. Communication skills, such as using communication boards or visuals, aids for requests. Social skills, using a social script or visual reminders of appropriate behavior. Organizing skills, visual schedules, tasks, checklists. Let's discuss the benefits. It reduces the need for verbal instruction, which may be difficult for some learners to process. Helps learners focus on tasks by providing clear steps. Increased independence with completing tasks or understanding routines. And it provides visual clues for social interaction, making abstract concepts more tangible. What is the evidence base for visual support? Research support. Studies have shown that visual supports are effective in improving communication, social skills, tasks completed in learners with ASD. Evidence suggests that visual schedules, picture exchange, communication systems, and social stories have all shown positive results in helping students with ASD increase engagement and independence. The skills addressed: communication, social skills, behavior management, and academic skills such as task completion and following instructions. What age does this work best with? Visual schedules can be used with learners of all ages, from children as early as 2 or 3 years old through adolescents and even adults. Planning requirements to implement visual supports. The materials you'll need are pictures or symbols. They can be printed or created digitally. Word cards, task list, schedule to labels, a camera or a smartphone to create customized visuals, visual schedules or charts, and organizational tools such as a binder, Velcro strips for easy communication. Teacher participation. Identify the targeted skill and behavior that needs visual support. Then choose appropriate visuals that match the learner's level of understanding, using simple pictures for younger learners and written word for older students. Set up a system that is constantly using the visual support, where and when the visuals will be placed and used. Then training. Teachers may need to learn about the how to create and implement different types of visual supports, such as schedules, social stories, and communication boards. How to use visual supports. Step-by-step instructions. Identifying the skills. Choose the skill or task that needs support, such as following a daily schedule or asking for help. Create the visual supports. For a visual calendar, place pictures or written words in a sequence that represents the day's task. Introducing the visual support. Show the learner that the schedule or the chart and explain how to use it, such as first we'll do this activity and then we'll do that. Use consistently, integrate the visual supports in the daily routines and activities to create structure and predictability. And it helps reinforce independence over time. It encourages the learner to use the visual supports independently, check their schedule, or use a communication board. Involvement. Teachers and paraprofessionals can introduce and reinforce visual supports in the classroom. Parents can implement similar visual strategies at home to maintain consistency. Data based decision making. How to track progress. Track how frequently the student uses the visual supports independently. Monitor whether the student is able to complete tasks or follow routines more consistently when the visual supports are used. Types of data to collect. Frequent data, such as numbers of times the students refer to a visual schedule in a day. Task completion data, whether the learner completes tasks independently using the visual supports. And then behavior data, reductions in problem behaviors when visual supports are provided. Adjustments. If progress is not occurring, consider adjusting the visuals, such as making them simpler and more engaging. Increase the use of visuals during transition periods or when new tasks to help ease anxiety. And then for the wrap up, the visual supports are essential evidence based practices for learners with ASD. They provide clear, structured cues that reduce dependence on verbal instructions, increase independence, and help students stay organized and engaged. Why I support visual supports? Visual supports Visual provides a tangible way to help students with ASD understand expectations and tasks. This is an essential part for students who struggle with verbal processing and need additional structure. Creative tips. Customize visuals to help the needs of each learner using photos of the student or their environment. Using color codes to make the visuals more engaging and easier to understand.